Happy New Year, Acadiana! Welcome to the season premiere of Higher Thought. How's it going? It's your boy Nade here. We're just having a good old time here at the Rosa Parks Center, AOC. Yes, this is the January 11th edition of Higher Thought. We plan to get into some deep convo here today. Hey, if you don't know about Higher Thought, once again, I'm your boy Nade. You can give us a call anytime. It is 337-366-8950. We are considered basically the #1 fake news show here in Acadiana. How about that? Acadiana? So if you want to get in on the fun, we've got all kind of stuff to talk about. We kind of go through the headlines, kind of talk about, I guess, all range of stuff as far as local, national media, a little sports. We go through some studies, this day in history. It's kind of, we run the gamut on this show. And here in a little bit, we'll probably have our good friend of AOC, Jacob White, as a guest on the show, because, of course, Acadiana, you made national news. You went and did it again. How about that? That was kind of a big thing that has happened, and we're going to get to that in just a second. We all know about that teacher in Vermilion Parish. So if that's something you want to chime in on, Acadiana, get your thoughts ready. Once again, that number is going to be 366-8950, and the number will pop up on the screen. There it is. And, of course, you will be prompted to press 2, okay? So there's been a lot going on since I last talked to you. It's probably been since before Christmas since we've seen you. So Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all that good stuff. And, hey, we got Martin Luther King coming up. So, that's always a good celebration to have. Which, I was actually, hearing that his name was, it was like Mark Luther or something. His name was changed pretty much. That wasn't his birth name. Yeah, so relatively interesting. So, you want a few minutes?
Yeah, you want to sit in now?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Crawl twice.
Yeah, headlines here, Katie.
Hello.
Which we want to welcome to the show, Jacob White.
Hi there.
From the Jacob and Paul show, right?
Yes, indeed, and I'm premiering my new haircut today on Higher
Premiering the new haircut, no mustache,
no mustache. Yeah. I have an internal mustache right now. It's fuzzy right here on my teeth.
Well, I mean, Jacob is one to look at for the trends, So, I mean, I kind of look and see what he's wearing. Okay, that's what the cool people are wearing.
Yes, we're only buttoning the first button now. All of these
only
should be
buttoning,
open.
no undershirts,
no.
And
no chest hair.
All right, and I mean, of course, we were all freezing our kaboots off.
Yeah, man, what's gonna get down again tonight? I hear the 30.
That's what I hear.
I'm like, I don't mind the cold if it wasn't so. It's like muggy and cold can coexist. I don't like that.
I'm just kind of over it, honestly. I mean, last year it seems like we only got maybe 2 weeks of cold.
Yeah.
And it was like a month of consecutive cold.
Yes, no kidding.
So it's just like, hey.
But in the same breath, it's like, as soon as it gets hot, I'm going to be like, this for 11 months.
I'm sure you were binge watching your TV, most of us were.
Oh, yes. I watched a bunch. Even though in the new year, I've been watching less visual media and trying to write more.
Good
and read more.
Was that your New Year's resolution?
Basically, yeah. I'm doing more of trying to do something for 30 days.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Accomplish something every day.
Exactly.
That's a great goal. That's a great goal. Acadiana, if you want to chime in, you just made national news here recently. A teacher in Vermilion Parish was arrested at a school board meeting. Apparently, she was questioning a pay raise of the superintendent, who was getting a $38,000 pay raise from $110,000 to $140,000. And she was basically, I think what happened in the video is she had made some comments. Then another lady asked a question. They said they didn't want questions.
Oh.
Okay. And and when the lady came back to talk, she, and she had some fire in her. She was kind of questioning, why is it that you've making a $38,000 raise when, our class sizes have increased so much over the last 10 years. We're working with less, and we haven't received one pay raise. And just the amount of his pay raise is about 1 year's teacher salary.
Yeah, no
just
kidding.
about.
Yeah.
So but the second time she went up, she asked a question. And apparently the superintendent didn't like that.
No questions.
And I didn't necessarily see in the video where the superintendent, like, if he said remove her or anything, but at that point the security guard asked her to leave. And she was questioning, okay, why you want me to leave? I'm just asking questions. I'm, speaking in an open forum here. And, as she was leaving, pretty much she got put to the ground, got put in cuffs.
She's a meme now.
She is a meme, and it's trending all over national media.
Yeah, man. It was on Good Morning America.
And I actually see that she has filed charges against the, for excessive abuse as far as, it wasn't necessary. And all the charges against her were dropped.
Okay.
And they didn't necessarily think that they needed to arrest her per se, but
get her out of the meeting.
Get her out of the meeting. I can understand that. So trying to look at it from the superintendent's point of view, I can understand. Okay, they didn't want questions at the time; it was just for comments.
And to play whatever devil's advocate. From what I understand, this raise had been addressed in previous meetings where the public was invited to comment, and at this meeting it was a final adoption sort of thing, and they were. And so, for whatever it's worth, I mean, that sounds
and they
reasonable.
Probably kept it on the DL.
Sure, yeah. They wanted to push it through. And then, again, to play devil's advocate, $110,000 is a very low figure for a superintendent of a parish or a county to make. As far as nationally,
they wanted to make it more comparable.
Yes, to other places in Louisiana and the rest of the country. And there's a case to be made that, a top administrator, in order to attract good talent, you want to have a fairly competitive salary. But that being said, don't we want talented teachers?
Surely. And there's arguments on all sides, Sure. Teachers, we deserve a pay raise, and I am a teacher. So, I've got a little bit to say on it. I think the superintendents really deserve to be making that amount of money. Well, it's kind of like the same thing as far as like the CEOs make like 380 times their average worker.
Well, and you can make the argument, that having that amount of remuneration, it invites top talent. You're able to recruit, the best people in the field. But, it does come back to at what cost? Don't you want everyone in the company to have some kind of share in when the company is doing well?
Well, yeah, and definitely, but you're coming from public money, though.
That's true, too, man.
There are situations where, some schools have overcrowding, where they're still, like, in portables.
Yeah.
There's lack of materials. I know I don't have a textbook in my class.
Wow.
And so, and then we go and spend, $150,000 on these superintendents. We spend millions of dollars on these football stadiums and a bunch of new
I'm sure you get grants to buy screens or, get some kind of, like, tech in the classroom, but you have to spend it on
and
tech.
Of course it's not the newest tech,
of course,
because
and you probably
that's going to change in a couple of years anyway.
Yeah, and you're probably still paying top dollar for it because of however the grant is written. But for me, this brings up some important lines of discussion that I think will be swept under the rug for the most part during this, and the first one is the larger question of the administrative state of higher education.
Right.
There's so many administrators. I've seen a figure that I can't corroborate, but you could look up, where in the U.S. there are 2 administrators for every teacher. And that sounds preposterous, but the more you look into it and the more top-heavy this thing looks.
From people that work at the school board,
exactly, the school board office. And so then the other very interesting line of discussion that I think should be brought up just constantly when we see seeming overreaches by law enforcement officers against the public is doctors have malpractice insurance. Why is it that when an officer perpetrates some sort of misdeed, the municipality, the taxpayers pay for it? why aren't officers required to carry some minimal liability insurance? Because then
They're
a
public
couple of these
employees as opposed
Yes.
to doctors being private.
Well, and I think it would have a really simple effect on the worst actors in law enforcement quickly becoming uninsurable. If you can't get insurance, you can't work in
Thus
that profession.
unemployable.
Yes,
You
they
know,
got to find
so-
another job.
Yeah, and I would agree with you on there. And there's many of different array of topics, but for me, the biggest issue in this particular incident is how we have an open public forum in a school board meeting. And, any open forum meeting, such as a city council meeting, any kind of thing like that, the public should be allowed to go and voice their opinion. Yet they should do it in a, professional and courteous manner.
Yes.
However, hearing what this lady was saying, she was passionate in her speech, but she didn't cross the line at all.
It didn't seem
and
like it.
she didn't. She wasn't warned about saying questions.
Yeah.
It was a different lady that was warned. And so I guess just in kind of driving her point home, she was asking rhetorical questions.
Yes.
And ultimately that kind of rubbed everyone the wrong way. But the public ultimately has freedom of speech, and they should be able to speak their mind. Granted, yeah, they might have been like the last meeting about it, but they probably weren't. Nobody knew about it before, probably.
Well, and if it's already decided, what is the harm in letting people speak and then enact it?
Right.
At least let people
let 'em
voice
speak
their
their piece.
grievance. Yeah.
Surely, and you can keep it to a time limit.
Yeah, exactly,
If
yeah.
you get out of order, then, you can basically say, hey, you're done, or they can remove you from the building.
Yeah.
But I don't think, anything was warranted to get the force that she got from the police
Well, it's
officer.
just like, do you think you or I could have removed the woman more peaceably? Do you really think you
Well, she
have
was
to
on her
body
way out of
slam
the
her?
building.
Yeah.
So
That's true, too.
And I mean, for her to have to even be put on the ground.
Or put hands on her.
Right.
just-
I mean, I'm sure she would have been willing. I mean, obviously she was arguing, but who wouldn't argue in that instance? Why are you arresting me? I'm a teacher,
Yeah.
and I'm in a school board meeting with concerns.
I just see a lot of these videos, and granted, I do have a dog in the fight because I do think that there's a lot of overreach with law enforcement. I think there are a lot of good officers that are drowned out by a minority of officers who behave in a way that make much of the population afraid to call the police when something that they need to
Well,
call
you're
the
right.
police for happens. But just to make my point real quick, I think that when you have these events, so often I see it. It's an old man, or it's an old lady, or it's a child, and it's like,
sure.
when did that be? When it's a guy, when it's
Is
a
it really
dude, an
necessary?
imposing dude, I can see why you use physical force, but
Well, and I could possibly see, like, from the police officer or the
they're afraid
marshal's
they have a
perspective,
weapon. That's what it is.
they might not even know their own strength, even as well.
That's true.
I mean, like
That's
they're
true.
trained to kind of put you in a certain position, and sometimes they might not know their strength. You're putting down kind of a bigger lady,
Yeah, yeah.
so to speak. But one thing that kind of came out recently was that this marshal was actually indicted apparently for putting down an old guy in 2011 for the city of Scott when he worked for them.
Wow.
So I mean, apparently he has kind of a history of
Well, and
being a little over excessive.
Yes, and in these police departments, I think especially in rural police departments, it's often the case that when somebody has an accident, I'll say, or two like this, they're kicked down the road, but it's literally down the road to the next police department.
Which apparently his transfer over to Abbeville wasn't related to that. That's
yeah.
what they say.
Yeah.
So it is interesting, in which he did have some good character witnesses. His pastor, came out and spoke for him, said he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And nobody's probably denying that he is a good guy. However, he is a marshal that's getting sued.
Yeah.
For excessive force.
Yeah, well, and it becomes anecdotal because there are a lot of these good guys, and sure, a good guy can have a bad day, but it starts to become overwhelming when statistically, especially in a place like Vermilion Parish, if you look this up, the law enforcement there, if they're looking for a kid and they can't find him, this is the truth. Go look it up. They will arrest the mom and put her in jail for days, making her lose her job or whatever, until she gives up the kid or tells them information. That is so insanely unconstitutional. That's against the habeas corpus
That's old
thing.
school,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
That's
old.
old
That's
school.
against the Magna Carta.
Right. That's what Magna Carta old school.
So Vermilion Parish has a reckoning coming, and this will only
Well, it's got
accelerate
national attention now. So,
Yeah.
You know,
So hopefully that
there is definitely
spotlight will-
outrage. I saw you had posted something about a march. So if you're interested in this topic and something that
Sure.
inspires you,
I'll just say that I wasn't able to attend, but I did see some friends posting that there was going to be I think just a peaceful gathering at Magdalena Square in Abbeville, which
Okay.
I'm not super familiar with Abbeville, but it seemed like it was gaining steam, and so I haven't checked yet, but I would like to take a look at the news. Of course, you shouldn't switch off of this program to check it out, but
of course not.
but maybe the 7 o'clock or the 10 o'clock news will carry something, and in fact, at this point, there may have been, you may have CNN or
I'm sure, yeah,
Fox
there's
or one of
national
these.
media there.
Yes, coverage.
Because,
So.
it was highly trending.
It
topic,
sure was, and maybe
so.
it's a slow news week, but I mean, this is the kind of thing I think that sparks a lot of people just because of, we all have some connection to the education system, and
course.
we all, I think, a lot of us see the different ways that it is disfunded. Now that doesn't mean that it's not funded. We spend more per capita per child in this country than any other country on earth. It's
Right.
just that money often seems misallocated.
I would agree with you totally, and I don't know. And in the future, could it be that public schools could be a thing of the past? Everything seems to be trending more toward the private, charter schools, and really getting these kids work skills for the future, digital world.
Yeah, man. I mean, nowadays I think they need video game skills because that's probably the future of work. Running
Kind of coding, really.
Yeah, that's true too. Coding, man. If you want your kid to be, to make money in the future, whatever the heck the future of money is, get them into coding.
Right. Well, just to get to a couple of the other top stories here, and if you'd like, you can chime in. I don't know if
Absolutely,
you've got
I'd love
some
to.
work stuff to do. Oprah Winfrey made a political speech at the Golden Globes, and now everybody's like, "Oh my goodness, Oprah should run for president." And one of the things Oprah talked about was a media takeover, and it always seems funny that like the Democrats and the Republicans both say it's a media takeover.
Yes.
Even though. Doesn't anybody realize these Republicans and Democrats are all buddies?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
two sides of the same coin here, ladies and
Well,
gentlemen.
and what does the media talk about? The Democrats and the Republicans. It doesn't tell you about
Well,
all of the people on the outsides of those two parties that are vocal and active every day trying to make changes in their community and
Interesting
their country.
studies here. Actually, just talking about that. Let's see, Donald Trump. There has been more negative media about Donald Trump than any other president in U.S. history in the
Yeah.
first 60 days of his presidency.
But I'll tell you this, man, and he as
But does he deserve it?
well, no, he doesn't, but he knows how to get it. See, that's the thing.
Right.
He had that interview over the Christmas New Year break where he said all kinds of falsehoods. They said, that it's just like a crazy amount of lies in a short amount of time. But what he did say, which is so true, and it's why he won, and it's why he very well may win in 2020, is that
That's scary.
you can't get away. The media loves him too much. He is so good for their ratings. They just have to talk about him. It doesn't matter if it's bad because it fires up that 30% that is going to show up at the polls.
Well, and actually, people are more divided in political differences than ever before in American history, it appears. Whereas we've kind of stayed on the same scale when it comes to differences in race, religion,
And
different stuff
beliefs.
like that.
And actually, absent these crazy divides, most of our beliefs, if you just
Divides are
ask us,
political.
what do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's the same thing. It's just that
pretty
we're
much the same.
fired up. You know why? Because we think that the guy who voted for the other guy is dumb,
Right.
is evil.
They're all dumb.
Yes.
Don't vote for any of them.
It's naive realism, man. It's thinking that your political opponent is stupid or evil.
Well, and we're getting it on the talking
Yeah, of
box as
course,
well.
yeah.
And oftentimes people form their political opinion from what they see on the news.
I know
and
so many
news
smart
sources
people
they
that are
trust.
stupid because they watch the news, man.
They buy all the BS from the TV, from the real
They
news.
do. Well, and then they want to talk about it. And then they get to you and like, oh, did you hear this? Oh, did you hear that? And they're just parroting.
Right.
And it's across the spectrum, man.
Well, and for me, a disturbing trend, and it kind of goes back to Oprah here, is how we are like hailing these celebrities as like these godsends, and how like when we think they should run for office now. The Rock for president in 2020, Oprah Winfrey for president.
The Rock's gonna have to be VP. It looks like.
Well, and meanwhile they're having this witch hunt for against male actors. For the sexual assault. James Franco recently,
I saw that, man.
had sexual allegations, and he was like did the Tonight Show runs recently. And
I saw on Colbert, man. He spoke about it, and I think his tack is the best because I do think that these people deserve to be listened to, like he said.
He's not
for so long,
right.
And for so long, it was you didn't even hear about this because this stuff was just immediately said to be wrong and it wasn't paid attention to. And of course, back to law enforcement, often these cases aren't even investigated. And so that tide seems to be changing. But in the same breath, that certainly can leave the sort of vacuum in which false allegations can,
it's a witch hunt. Everybody's getting in on it.
Yes, but that's not to say that much of these allegations aren't true. It's just that we should give everyone a hearing, but we shouldn't.
Being criminalized?
Yeah, well, that's another thing. I don't know.
To what extent is these sexual allegations just simply courtship?
Well, to what extent do we give the kinds of punishments that one would think would be reserved for serious crimes to something that is less serious? That's not to say that like the surprise sex of Julian Assange, where they have protected sex that night, and then again in the morning he gets her, they go at it again, and she's like, well, I didn't want to, after the fact. She didn't want to do that.
About it.
It's just one of those things, man. It's like we're right now we're just at a place where we have to have a discussion about
our social mores have changed when it comes to that. So
and it can be for the good. It's just that let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Maybe that's the wrong analogy.
Well,
it just seems like it can become, we're going to end up persecuting people who don't deserve to be persecuted because the tide is going that way.
I agree, and anybody can make that accusation essentially. But
that is true.
I really almost think James Franco, by not saying anything, was saying, yes, I still want to keep on making movies. I know I will be blacklisted if I deny these allegations. And,
Well, he said they're not accurate.
Right.
But he said that they're.
But he's not going to talk about it.
Yes, exactly,
much,
and that that it's not his time to talk. That let
her make her accusation because he believes in the cause.
Yes, okay. Which really, I like that because that reminds me of how I feel about free speech.
Right.
I would rather everybody get a hearing, and no matter how odious or naive their views are. Let them be heard. Let people speak. That's what was upsetting me so much about the counter protests.
Well, sure.
When these right wing, movements were happening last year, and people show up to counter protest, and you have all these, punch a Nazi movements. What is that? What kind of anti-liberalism?
Well, and another thing that's been kind of on that same topic, Mark Wahlberg making 1,500 times a woman co-star for reshoots in a movie. Basically, you got a $1.5 million, she got $1,000 for doing reshoots for a movie that had Kevin Spacey in it, and they replaced him. But Mark Wahlberg had it in his contract that you had to renegotiate reshoots where they didn't have it in their contract, and he had to do significantly more shoots apparently.
Well, and he's a bigger name. Who is the woman?
I don't know who the woman is. It showed her name, but I didn't even write it down. I wouldn't remember.
Because I do believe that there is a gender pay gap. But,
definitely.
But that's another place where
he's a bigger star.
Yes, I think too.
But it's just like you see the media making it such a divide, thing like,
he's a male,
evil males.
It's the same with the Democrats and Republicans. They pit us
Evil
against
Republicans, evil Christians, evil straight
each other.
people.
Evil people not like
Evil
you.
white people.
Not like you good people.
Right, of course.
Watching this program.
Of course. We've got about a minute or two left. Yeah, we're doing the 26-minute version tonight. A big talk about the Black Panther movie coming out.
Oh, yes.
It's actually broken a Marvel record for most advanced sales.
Yeah, when
ever.
the heck? Okay, it was confusing me because we went to the Star Wars movie, and I didn't see an ad for it, a trailer for it.
The Black Panther.
Maybe I got there a little late. I saw a ton of trailers,
Yeah, I did see. I don't remember seeing.
but I saw the Infinity War trailer.
Well, yeah, and you would think they're all Disney, so.
That's Which
I'm wondering if when the Disney Channel comes out, they're kind of doing
Oh
their
my
own little
God.
Netflix thing. If it's going to have all the Star Wars, all the
And
Marvel,
Marvel.
and all the Disney stuff,
Yeah,
I might
that would
have
be-
to get it. So just to end the show off with some ways to make your relationship laugh.
Uh-oh.
End it off in a little good note.
Horny
fellas,
gutweed.
Yeah, do this stuff. Give your lady some compliments.
Yes.
Do some unconventional weird things. Talk about sex more often. Let's talk about sex, baby. Flirt more often. Kiss more often. Make it memorable. Double dates from time to time. Celebrate special dates. Let's see, couple time, every day, hug and hold non-sexually, cuddle, snuggle.
Yep.
And don't stay mad for very long. Yep, that'll help you get along real good. But, Katie Anna, been a pleasure. Jacob,
Thank you, Nick, for letting me come on.
Oh, thank you for coming on. And, yeah, we're going to try to keep doing the show. You know, it might be a bi-weekly kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, our weeks go both ways. You know. But it's been fun. Yeah, Katie Anna, it's good to have you. Yeah, I think our
Yeah, we're
time's
going.
up. All right.